She was standing in the middle of my driveway like she owned it, waving a clipboard and yelling at the top of her lungs. "You can't enter here without HOA approval. This land belongs to the community now." I froze for a second, trying to make sense of what she just said. My land, my ranch. The same ranch I'd inherited from my father, fenced off by some self-appointed queen with a smug smile. A shiny new chain and padlock were already clamped across the gate, and behind her stood two men in cheap uniforms pretending to be security. I walked closer, my boots crunching against the gravel. "Move that lock now," I said, my voice low. She tilted her chin up, full of fake authority. "Not a chance. From this day, every vehicle passing through must pay HOA fees. If you don't like it, take it to court." The men behind her crossed their arms like bodyguards, but even they looked uneasy. I could feel my blood heating up, but I forced myself to stay calm. She thought she had cornered me, that I'd back down or start begging. Instead, I leaned against the gate and smiled. "Funny thing about this road," I said slowly. "It doesn't lead to your HOA. It leads to my ranch." She laughed, loud and mocking, and waved the clipboard again. "Not anymore. We control everything here now. Pay up or lose access." The neighbors were gathering, whispering, recording with their phones. Karen thrived on this spotlight. She wanted me humiliated in front of everyone, the stubborn rancher being forced to bow down. But what she didn't know, what made my smile widen, was that this wasn't just a driveway. This was a private road, built on land that legally belonged to me and extended all the way to the highway. And if she wanted to block it, she had no idea what storm she had just unleashed, because I wasn't the one trapped behind that locked gate. She was. Karen's grin stretched wider as she shoved the clipboard in my chest. "Sign here. You'll be the first to pay the toll." The crowd chuckled nervously, some even whispering that maybe I should just go along with it. She loved that, turning the neighbors against me, making me look powerless. I glanced at the two guards. Their badges didn't shine like real ones. Plastic, the kind you order online. But they stood tall, waiting for me to argue so they could drag me off. "Sir, step back," one of them barked, trying to sound official. Karen crossed her arms, soaking up the moment. I stepped closer instead. "You know what's funny?" I said, tapping the lock with my finger. "You think you've trapped me out here, but that padlock, it's on your side." Her eyes narrowed, confused for the first time. "What are you talking about?" I pointed behind her. "You didn't chain me out, you chained yourselves in." Gasps rippled through the neighbors as a few pulled out their phones to zoom in on the lock. Karen spun around, realizing I was right. The gate swung outward, meaning she'd locked herself and her fake guards inside my property. Her face flushed red. She tried to cover it up, shouting, "That doesn't matter. You'll still pay or you won't use this road again." But her voice cracked. The guards shifted uncomfortably, clearly doubting if this job was worth it. I leaned on the fence, lowering my voice so only the crowd in front could hear. "You're standing on my ranch, with fake cops blocking a road you don't own. Care to guess how that ends?" Karen's smirk faltered, but she quickly barked, "Call the police. Arrest him for trespassing." And that was the moment the twist snapped into place, because the real police were already on their way. The sirens cut through the air before anyone could move. Karen's face lit up with triumph as if she had already won. "Perfect timing," she shouted, waving her arms. "Officers, over here. This man is trespassing and refusing HOA orders." The patrol car rolled up slow, lights flashing across the gravel road. The neighbors stepped back, phones recording every second. Karen straightened her posture, smiling like she was the queen of the street. The two fake guards puffed out their chests, pretending to look official. The real cops stepped out. One officer adjusted his belt, his eyes scanning the scene. The other glanced at the gate, at the shiny lock, and then at Karen's clipboard. Something didn't sit right with them. "Ma'am," the taller officer said carefully, "what seems to be the problem here?" Karen wasted no time. She shoved her clipboard toward him, pointing at me like I was some criminal. "This man is in violation of HOA law. He refuses to pay toll fees. I demand you remove him immediately." Her voice carried, sharp and dramatic. The officer studied the paper, then frowned. "This isn't an official document. Where exactly did you get this?" Karen laughed like it was a silly question. "I'm the president of this community HOA. My word is law. Arrest him now before he causes more trouble." The shorter cop walked over to the fake guards, eyeing their flimsy badges. "Who are you two with?" he asked. They hesitated. One muttered, HOA security detail. The officer raised his eyebrow. Funny. Never heard of HOA security with handcuffs from a Halloween store. He tapped the fake cuffs dangling from the man's belt. The crowd chuckled, phones shaking as people tried not to laugh too loudly. I stayed silent, letting the scene unfold. My heart was pounding, but not with fear, with anticipation, because the truth was about to slam down like a hammer, and I was holding the proof they couldn't ignore. I reached into my truck and pulled out a thick folder, the kind no one expects a rancher to keep. Karen sneered instantly. What's that, some fake paperwork? Don't embarrass yourself, I didn't answer her. Instead, I handed it straight to the taller officer. These are the original land deeds, I said firmly. Survey maps, tax records, and state filings. Every inch of this road from the highway all the way through that gate belongs to me. Not the HOA, not her. The officer flipped through the pages, his frown deepening with each stamp and seal. Karen's smug look faltered. That can't be real, she stammered. We passed a vote. The community decided, community votes don't override state-recorded property deeds, the officer interrupted. His tone was flat, official, the kind of voice that meant trouble for her. The neighbors gasped, some whispering, wait, he owns the whole road? Phones were raised higher, capturing her red face as the realization spread. Karen lunged forward, trying to snatch the folder back. Don't believe him. He forged those papers. I'll prove it. But before she could touch it, the second officer stepped between us. Ma'am, step back. If you interfere with official documents again, you'll be detained. Her eyes darted around, desperate. The fake guards shifted uneasily, backing away from the gate. One of them muttered, Karen, maybe we should... But she spun on him, screeching, shut up. You work for me. That was her mistake, because the taller cop had just finished reading the last page of the deed and his eyes locked on hers with steel. Ma'am, he said coldly, you're not only trespassing, you're extorting a property owner on his own land. The crowd went silent. Karen's mouth fell open. And that's when I pulled out the final card. The one twist nobody saw coming. With a heavy metallic clank, the brand new steel gate behind her started moving. Slowly the panels slid apart, powered by the underground motor I'd installed months ago. The padlock she had proudly slapped on was useless. It dangled in the air, swinging like a cheap ornament. The crowd gasped. A couple of neighbors actually clapped. Karen spun around, screaming, No! No, this is my gate now, stop it. She grabbed the chain, trying to hold it shut, but the motor didn't care. It dragged the lock and her hands with it until she let go. The fake guards took a nervous step back, clearly done playing her game. I looked straight at her, my voice steady. This isn't an HOA road. It's a private access road. My father built it, my taxes maintain it, and now, if anyone wants to use it, they'll be paying me. The crowd erupted, half with laughter, half with shock. Phones were out everywhere, capturing every second. Karen's power had flipped upside down in an instant. She had locked herself inside my property, on a road she had no right to touch, and now she was being exposed in front of her entire community. Her face twisted in rage. You can't do this. I'll sue you. The taller officer cut her off. Ma'am, enough. You're under investigation for trespassing, harassment, and impersonating legal authority. He nodded to the second cop, who already had cuffs in his hand. The crowd leaned forward, whispering like they were watching the climax of a movie. Karen stepped back, shaking her head, her voice cracking. No, I'm the HOA president. You can't arrest me. But the officer's next words silenced everyone. Ma'am, you're not above the law. Karen's screams echoed across the gravel as the officer pulled her wrists behind her back. The cuffs clicked shut, and for the first time, her fake confidence shattered. This is illegal. You'll regret this. I'll have your badges. She shrieked, thrashing like a child throwing a tantrum. The neighbors weren't buying it anymore. A woman from across the street shouted, About time someone stood up to her. Another man muttered, loud enough for everyone to hear, She fined me $200 for having my truck parked overnight. Guess she's the criminal now. Phones kept flashing, catching every second, the HOA queen falling apart. The fake guards tried to slink away toward the sidewalk, but the shorter officer wasn't letting them off easy. Hold it, he barked, stepping in their path. You two are being detained for impersonating law enforcement. He yanked the plastic badge right off one man's chest, holding it up for the cameras. Bought off the internet. That's a federal offense. The crowd gasped, eating up every twist. Karen froze, her face pale as she realized her muscle wasn't going to back her up. They were going down too. I leaned against my truck, finally letting out the breath I'd been holding. The taller cop walked back over to me, holding the folder of deeds with respect now. Sir, you handled this calmly. You've got solid proof. If you want to press charges, this case won't just stick, it'll make headlines. I glanced at Karen, still screaming about how the HOA owned everything. Then I looked at the neighbors, the people she had bullied for years. Their faces weren't scared anymore. They looked hopeful. Yeah, I said slowly, I'll press charges, but I'll do one better. I pointed at the gate, now wide open. From today on, this road isn't just mine. It's a private toll road, and every single cent collected will go toward community projects that she tried to kill off. The neighbors erupted in cheers. Karen's jaw dropped as she was shoved into the back of the police car. She wanted control. Instead, she gave me the perfect idea to take back everything. The police car door slammed shut, muffling Karen's furious screams as the crowd spilled into the street, buzzing with excitement. People who had never spoken to me before were shaking my hand, patting my back, some even laughing out loud like a weight had been lifted off their shoulders. One man raised his phone high and shouted, "This is going viral tonight." The others laughed, already uploading clips. I knew by morning the whole town, maybe the whole country, would see the HOA queen taken down in cuffs. The shorter officer gave me a small grin. Not every day we see someone flip the script like that. You sure you want to run this as a toll road? I nodded. She wanted to charge the community for something she didn't own. Fine, let's do it legally. Except this time the money helps the neighbors, not her pockets. The neighbors cheered again, some clapping, some whistling. For the first time in years, I saw real unity on this street. Families who had been hiding from Karen's fines and threats now stood proud, free. As the police cars pulled away, Karen's voice fading into the night, I turned back to the open gate. The padlock she'd placed so confidently still hung there, useless and swinging in the breeze. I grabbed it, yanked it off, and held it high for everyone to see. This, I said, my voice carrying, is the last lock she'll ever put on us. The crowd roared. Someone shouted, "That's the line. That's going on TikTok." And as the night settled in, I realized something bigger. Karen hadn't just lost control, she had exposed the entire HOA's corruption. The fight wasn't over. The real battle was about to begin. The next morning, the neighborhood felt different, lighter, freer. No threatening letters on doors, no clipboard-waving patrols, no Karen stomping through yards like a queen without a crown. Instead, kids rode their bikes down the newly open road, and parents waved at me like I'd been living there all my life. News vans lined up by the highway, reporters shoving microphones forward. How does it feel to finally stand up to the HOA? One asked. I gave a small smile and said the truth. It feels like freedom. Nobody should be bullied off their own land. The video of Karen's arrest exploded online, millions of views overnight. Comments flooded in, veterans, ranchers, families from across the country cheering, saying things like, "This man is a hero. Property rights matter." Some even called me the toll road cowboy. But the best part wasn't the fame, it was the justice. The police investigation uncovered years of her scams, fake fines, threats, bogus HOA fees. She wasn't just facing trespassing anymore. She was facing fraud, impersonation, and extortion charges. The so-called guards? They flipped on her, admitting she paid them cash to play cop. Standing by my ranch gate, I watched the neighbors gather, smiling for once. We put up a simple wooden sign together. Private road, community funds only. Every dollar collected went back into fixing the park, repairing sidewalks, and helping families she'd drained with her fake rules. For me, it wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about proving something deeper, that no HOA, no entitled Karen, no fake authority could strip a man of his rights. I looked out at the land, the same land my father left me, and whispered under my breath, I didn't fight for this country just to be told I can't drive through my own gate. And for the first time in a long time, the road ahead finally felt wide open. Days later, when the dust had finally settled, I drove down my road with the windows rolled down and the sun hitting the hood of my truck. For the first time in years, it was quiet. No clipboard slaps on doors, no threats in the mailbox, no fake guards hanging around like vultures. Then I noticed something. At the edge of the ranch fence, a small group of neighbors stood waiting. They weren't here to complain or demand. They were holding paint cans, lumber, even a basketball hoop. One of them, the same guy Karen fined for his truck, stepped forward and said, "You gave us back this road. Now let us give something back to you." I blinked, caught off guard. They started unloading supplies, building a brand new entrance sign together. "Welcome to Freedom Road." The name wasn't mine, it was theirs. I couldn't help but laugh. Karen had tried to lock me out, to make me the villain. Instead, she ended up giving us something bigger: unity. The same neighbors she divided were now standing shoulder to shoulder, turning a scar into a symbol. That night, as the sign dried under the porch light, I sat back in my chair and thought about how fast life could twist. She thought she owned this place. She thought she could break me. But in the end, the only thing she broke was her own empire and the road she tried to steal. It became a road nobody would ever forget. A week later, just when life finally felt calm, an envelope showed up in my mailbox. No return address, no stamp, just slipped in quietly. I opened it, expecting another leftover notice from Karen's fake HOA. But this time the paper was different. It was a legal letter. Real seal. Real law firm. Inside it read, "Notice of lawsuit filed by the official HOA board. Claims: unauthorized toll road, misuse of community funds, and harassment of board president Karen M." I froze, staring at the page. Karen was in jail awaiting trial, yet somehow her allies were still pulling strings from the shadows. That's when my phone buzzed. A message from one of my neighbors. "We need to talk. The board isn't finished with us. They're planning something bigger." I folded the letter slowly, feeling that old fire spark in my chest again. The first battle was won, but this war, it was just beginning. And this time it wasn't just Karen, it was the whole HOA.